Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Foxtail Digital coming to you again with Black Girl Stocks. And this is another segment of our top 3 option plays this week, where we're just gonna go over a few different trades, stock fundamentals, and different strategies that you can do to make it through. It's been a while and the market has been hitting new highs. And honestly, there's no better time to jump back into action making these videos. But just a quick reminder, I'm going to be sharing some of what I've found, but it's important that you do your own research as well. Everybody's gonna have their different financial situations and risk tolerance. So just keep that in mind. All right, so let's go ahead and let's jump right into it. First up on the drawing board this week is gonna be a bullish position on PLTR. We can see right now that we're near a yearly high close. You look at PLTR right here on the daily chart. So this is the daily chart. And the first thing that we can see is that we are very close to a yearly high. Okay, so PLTR is heating up and it's really getting close to its yearly high of $21.85. So today is January the 21st. Let's just go back to this time last year. I mean, obviously, you know, we are a lot closer to the yearly high at 16. Hey, just watch out because we're still missing that big volume boost. Okay, so we can see that Friday's trading volume was around 40 million compared to the 3-month average of around 57 million. But it's really not a big deal though. Sometimes it's quiet before the storm and the big action. But if we do start to see volume kick up, then that shows that investor confidence could be growing, and that can turn PLTR into a potential breakout picture. And that's why I like to start with the daily chart. The next thing is, it looks like with chart patterns on the daily chart, we have an inside day. But first, let's go over what an inside day is. That's basically when a candlestick's high and low are both tucked within the previous day's range. Okay, so you can see here, this candlestick is within this high and as well as the low, even the wicks. So it's still within that range. And so with some of our bullish vibes, that's something that we may want to watch. So in this scenario with the inside day, if the price breaks above the previous day's high, then we may hit that sweet spot for bullish action. Okay, the next signal I want to talk about is the CCI buy trigger. Okay, and that's this indicator here. Commodity Channel Index, or CCI, is basically a technical analysis tool or indicator that you can use to gauge the momentum and the direction of a stock. The CCI basically compares a stock's current specific time period. Usually it's going to be around 14 days, so 2 weeks. And it's going to oscillate around a center mark. Okay, so that's this zero here, right around here. So in this case, the CCI just moved above that zero level where we are here. Now that could potentially suggest a buying opportunity. The last thing is, if you can see here on the daily chart, we're at a pretty good support level in a high volume node area using this indicator here called the volume profile indicator on the daily chart. Okay, so it kind of looks like there's a sturdy floor forming below this, around this $15.70 area. So that could indicate a potential continuation in the uptrend that we've seen. Lastly, just with the MACD indicator, okay, so it looks like we have a bullish MACD cross here, with the orange MACD line crossing above the blue signal line. And if you can kind of see here, we have some bullish histogram where it's rising above the center line as well. Okay, so it looks like this baby is starting to rev up. I want to get into the actual option contract that I want to look at. So the position that I'm looking at is going to be PLTR with the expiration date of February 16th with the strike price at 18. And we're going to look at the calls. Okay, so you can kind of see here, the premium's around 0.84, so it's not too bad. But another thing I wanted you to check out here is look at how high the volume and open interest is. Okay, so we have a volume of around 9,000 and open interest of 21,000 on Friday. So that just shows a lot of interest, liquidity in this position. So for this position on PLTR, I'm going to have my entry around $16.90. And the reason why, that's just going to be a breakout of highs that we saw last week. And as far as a stop loss, I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'm going to have my stop loss around $16.30 or just $16 flat. And you can just kind of see these are some resistance areas that we've had previously last week. So pretty much that for PLTR. Okay, now let's move on to our second play, and that's going to be a bullish position on XLE. Okay, so first let's just kind of knuckle down on the trend line support. Now, looking on the daily chart, it looks like we have some support around $80. And that's a price level that we've been dancing around since December of 2023. And so one of two things can happen around this level. So one, it could either act bullish, that $80 marker, and then it could potentially start to spring. That just basically means that there's more buyers at this price and they're going to, potentially continue pushing this price, or it could start to swing bearish. Okay, so if the price starts to break this $80 support level, could potentially start to move lower. Okay, so that would mean that there's more sellers at this level, causing more selling pressure. Okay, the next thing I want to look up, let's kind of zoom into the stochastics indicator. So it looks like right now it's in an oversold territory around this 20 level. Okay, now it's really important to note that oversold isn't necessarily a promise that it's immediately going to have a jump up in price, but it's just a part of this overall trend that we've seen with this overbuying and overselling zones. So it's really more of a signal. Sometimes this oversold condition could pave way for the price to start increasing. One bullish hint that you can see is when you start to match it up with our previous trend line. And so that's what we were mentioning before. Very interesting. It still looks like it's trending downward overall, but let's just kind of see, we could have a short-term move upwards. So that's something to keep in mind going into next week. Now, looking again at the volume profile indicator, it looks like the point of control, or the POC, that just means the place that has the highest volume price around this $83.80 area. This is where the highest volume has happened over this entire area of price. So this is a very important place. Okay, so around $84, still below that right now. You know how these high volume areas can behave. Sometimes they act like a magnet, and the price is going to be attracted to coming back to that high volume area. So we'll just kind of see what happens with that. So if XLE starts to, move back up towards that area, then that can be a place we can see the stock potentially moving back to, that 83, 84. Now for XLE, for my entry for this position, I'm going to have my entry around $80.18. And once again, this is just going to be a high that we had last week, Thursday and Friday. And as far as my stop loss level, it would be around the 79. Now let's get into the actual position. Okay, so this is going to be a bullish position, and I'm looking at, again, the February 16th expiration date with the strike price at 82. And so we can see, okay, we've had 15,000 open interest, 4,000 for the volume, so that's pretty good. Delta is pretty cute at 0.38, so this is decent, very low theta. So I like that. The premium is okay, around 100. So that's definitely something to potentially look at. But if you wanted something that has a lower premium, then you can scroll down here and you can look at the $85 strike price. I would say maybe 84, 85. You can see we still have a significant open interest and volume here, lower premium and decent delta and theta. So that's something that you can look at for XLE. So keep that on your list. All right, you guys, and let's close it out with our last pick from the top 3 option plays, and that's going to be SCHW, or Charles Schwab. Now this is going to be interesting, but this is going to be a bearish position. So one thing to note is that the stock is currently in the value zone. Okay, so that's where the price is between the 20 and the 50-day moving average. And so we have our 20 here, and then we have our 50. So in a strong up or downtrend, this zone usually is an ideal spot to make a move. So that's either going to be bullish or bearish. So we're going to need to see, what's going on with these signals. Another thing to notice is looking at the candlestick patterns here. It looks like we have an engulfing candle on Friday. That's basically when the last candle that completely engulfed or swallowed the previous days.
Swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Have you gone through a time of swallowing where everything was overwhelming?
So that's also known as an outside day. I'm sort of interested here because I do see some bullish signals as well. So one thing that I would want to see for this is a cross below 50 period moving average, which would be around $63.20. With strong volume. Otherwise, I wouldn't take a bearish position here. That's an area to keep our eye on. Now, another reason why for this position is if we kind of draw back a little bit to the weekly chart. Okay, so looking at the weekly chart, we can kind of see ourselves at the peak of a bearish trend line resistance area. And so that looks like it's around $70. Plus, it looks like there's a bearish cross there with our stochastics indicator. And if we were even going to switch it to the CCI, it also looks like we had a bearish cross here with, well, not really, close to a bearish cross with our center line here with the CCI indicator. So there's a few different things on the weekly charts a little bit further back. So this may be something to really wait on. It may not be something that happens next week, but it's just kind of something to keep an eye on. If I was going to enter a bearish position, I would have my entry around $63. Okay, $63 across below that would be a good entry for me. A stop loss area, I'll probably have that probably around 64, or stop loss, that could be a certain percentage as well, like 20 or 30%. But if you like to go off of support and resistance levels, I'd probably say around maybe 64, 64.30. But let's get into the actual position. This position is bearish, so make sure we change it to puts. I don't know how many times, that caused an issue with the trade, not making sure that, that you were looking at the puts. I guess it would be easier to show both. Maybe I should start doing that. Then you wouldn't have an issue. Dang, did I just learn something shooting a video? Let me know what you guys think. Do you prefer to have your options show both calls and puts when you're trading, or do you, prefer to change? The expiration date is again going to be the February 16th. I'm looking at the 60. Okay, so you can see right here, the premium's around $58 to $61. Delta's cute, it's around 20. And I like that we have a high volume and open interest, so we can see, a lot going on there. So that's something that we can look at going into next week for this stock, okay? If you enjoyed watching this video, please make sure that you click that thumbs up button for me. It really helps the channel. Also subscribe and click that notification bell so that you get notified anytime I upload a new video for you guys. And I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.